Alrighty, guys, in just a little bit in the podcast episode, we will be doing our hopes and predictions for Peacemaker Season 2. But before we do that, before we get into that, let's talk about this new Redband trailer. Now, for those of you who don't know, my philosophy with watching trailers generally, because I am one of those people that trailers are not meant for me. Trailers are meant, they're a marketing tool. They're meant for people who are not interested or have not heard about a certain project and trying to get them interested in whatever's going on. For me, I could have gone every single day without watching a single trailer for Avengers Infinity War or Spider-Man No Way Home or The Batman or Superman because I was going to watch those movies anyway. So why would I watch trailers? But trailers do get us excited. I really enjoy trailers for the most part. But I usually don't watch every single TV spot or every single promotional clip because why would I want to ruin, the experience of seeing those things on the big screen for the first time? However, that being said, I do make it a point to watch the big major trailers. So a week before Peacemaker Season 2 debuts, they released another trailer, and I was like, all right, I guess we're watching it. I don't really want to. Not because I'm not excited for Peacemaker Season 2, but because I feel like I've seen enough, I think, to know what it's going to be and to be excited about it. But I said, okay, it's another trailer. It's a full-length trailer. It's not a TV spot or anything. Let's take a look here. It's the Redband trailer. And immediately, James Gunn and John Cena are out there sitting in a studio, and they're cussing, and they're saying, yep, this is a Redband trailer. And sure enough, this is the most Redband of Redband trailers. Now, if you've seen Peacemaker Season 1, what you see, the kinds of things you see in this trailer should not be a surprise to you. If anything, though, it feels like it's all being turned up to 11, even from Peacemaker Season 1. I don't know if they just compiled all the bloodiest and, let's just say, least child-friendly kinds of elements of Peacemaker Season 2 into a 2-minute trailer to make this Redband trailer, or if this is really what every single minute of every single episode of Peacemaker Season 2 is going to be like. I don't know. Because it seems very intentional that they're making this a Redband trailer in this way. So who knows, right? Who knows? It is very, very bloody, and it is very violent, and it is very graphic in certain ways. Not appropriate for children. And I think it's interesting that, we're transitioning because Marvel, right? Marvel made its first R-rated movie in Deadpool and Wolverine, and it looks like it's going to dabble here and there with more mature content. Daredevil Born Again was pretty violent in certain ways, but generally speaking, Marvel is, every Marvel project is for everybody. Well, DC made Creature Commandos, which was pretty violent, even in animated form. It made Superman, which was arguably about as family-friendly as you could make a superhero movie, which is pretty good, pretty cool. And then you jump to Peacemaker. And Peacemaker is about as not family-friendly as you could make it to and still be, mainstream enough, right? And not go too crazy. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that this is a tactic. And we'll see, right? We'll see how James Gunn handles it. We'll also see how Peacemaker plays into the rest of the DCU, because not everyone who watches Superman, just on the basis alone of this being a TV show about a lesser known character, quote unquote, because I know he had a season 1 and people liked it, but not everyone's gonna watch Peacemaker Season 2 watch Superman, and then they're not gonna know what went on in Peacemaker Season 2 going into Supergirl. So when he shows up again in the movies, because he's, spoiler alert, showed up in the movies already quickly, I'm curious to see how James Gunn is going to tackle this. The other interesting thing here is that they kind of talk about a little bit more about this multiversal plot here, about the fact that Rick Flag Sr. says, like Lex Luthor. So that's interesting, alluding to the, again, minor spoiler alert, the pocket dimensions that Lex Luthor had. Like Lex Luthor, Peacemaker has a rift or an opening to an alternate dimension, and they want to get rid of it. So it looks like very early on in the DCU, this idea of alternate dimensions and pocket universes and rifts and dare I say multiverses is going to be a pretty significant part of what's going on, at least on Earth, which, again, I mean, if you listen to my previous segment where I talked, where we did some thoughts on the previous Peacemaker Season 2 trailer, this is something that I'm a little bit hesitant about, because I feel like as the multiverse has peaked quickly, like Spider-Man No Way Home, for example, it's faded just as quickly. I think people are kind of over it at this point in superhero content. I could be wrong. Maybe you guys are clamoring for more multiverse content. Let me know in the comments. But for me, I'm like, James Gunn, I think we can do different things now, right? We'll see. I mean, maybe Peacemaker is the greatest multiversal story ever told in the 21st century, next to Everything Everywhere All at Once for most people. And maybe we'll eat our words at that point. I don't know. It's definitely possible. I'm hoping so. But again, I know I want to clarify, because people are going to comment. I know it's not literally the multiverse. It's not a different universe. It's a different dimension. I get it. But it's essentially the same same storytelling device. So anyways, yeah, I don't know what to make of all this, to be honest with you. I'm intrigued, I'm entertained by what I see in the trailer, but I'm also a little concerned, not gonna lie, just about how heavily they're leaning into this. Rick Flag, he says, Lex Luthor had this multiversal or pocket universe, and Peacemaker has one too, and we need to get it. We need to stop him. Seems like the brunt of the show. We'll see what happens there. But again, I'm very curious to see how they're going to handle it. So guys, that was, we got another look at Peacemaker Season 2, a more bloody, violent look at Peacemaker Season 2. And I mean, it looks like Peacemaker. Again, I've said this many times. I think the variance for people who are going into Peacemaker Season 2 is not gonna be that big from people who liked or didn't like Peacemaker Season 1. I think if you loved Peacemaker Season 1, you're gonna love Peacemaker Season 2. I think same thing if you liked it, same thing if you didn't like it. I think the variance is gonna be pretty low, but we'll have to see. First episode coming out next week, and so we will do our spoiler discussions at that point. Guys, what do you think of this new Redband trailer for Peacemaker Season 2? Let me know in the comments down below.